The Stepping Stone Kindergarten. The summer of 1891 was spent in Germany by Mr. and Mrs. Rowland Hazard of Peacedale, and while there, Mrs. Hazard became much interested in the new German method of starting children into a formal education at an early age, known as the kindergarten. On returning home, Mrs. Hazard induced a young German lady named Miss Anna Schleispiden, who had been trained in kindergarten work, to accompany her with an idea of starting such a school for the children of Peacedale. An old house on the Hazard estate, which predated the coming of the Hazards by several years, having been built by Benjamin Rodman, who operated a little carding mill at the site, later taken over by the Hazard Project, was made red. On September 5th, 1891, the Stepping Stone Kindergarten was opened in Peacedale, one of the first, if not the very first, such school in the United States, and so appropriately named the Stepping Stones. We picture the original Rodman House, home of the first kindergarten, and through the kindness of Mrs. George L. Baker of Peacedale, a picture of the Stepping Stones class of 1897. Little Miss Lampierre was a member of the class and appears in the picture. Miss Schlittelstein is on the left, and on the right, her assistant during those first several years, Mrs. Mamie or O'Hara, later Mrs. James T. Nolan. The kindergarten proved a success from the very start, and soon most of the youngsters of preschool age in New Peacedale were enrolled. My sister and I both attended, and I have rather faint memories of the big room and the little chairs in which we sat, playing games and making little articles of paper or clay. I do, however, have a clear memory of the cuckoo clock. Miss Schlapston had brought one with her from Germany, and each day at 5 minutes of 12, we all joined hands and marched into the big hall where we anxiously awaited the little bird to cuckoo the hour of 12. All marveled, but none ever quite understood what was inside that box. The kindergarten soon became an institution in Peacedale, and the annual Christmas tree became a must. On Friday evening, before Christmas, the Memorial Hall would be filled to overflowing with parents and friends to see and hear the little ones in their games and activities on the stage around the big Christmas tree. Santa Claus came with his 2 bags, one filled with toys and the other with the gingerbread Santas, which had always been passed out to all the children in the hall. It was surely one of Peacedale's happiest times. A small fee was charged at first, 25 cents I think it was, for attendance at the kindergarten, but this was dropped in 1911. After that time, it was supported entirely by the Hazard family. Through the early years, several local young ladies assisted Miss Shopton with the little scholars. When Miss O'Hara left, Mrs. Abby Morgan took her place, and later Miss Nellie Casey and Miss Margaret Smith worked with the little ones. In 1913, Miss Schleipstein decided to return for good to her native land, which she did in the summer of that year. At the beginning of the following school year, Miss Clara Whaley came from her teaching at the Peacedale School to take charge of the kindergarten. She stayed on for the following 3 years. However, because of the war, Miss Schlapstein unexpectedly returned from Germany late in 1916. During this time, Miss Caroline Hazard, who had been carrying on the support of the kindergarten since the death of her mother several years before, decided the old building had become inadequate, and in 1917 have built on String Street in Peacedale a new Stepping Stones kindergarten. This was dedicated to the memory of her mother, Margaret Wood Hazard. It opened with appropriate exercises on September 2, 1917. This is the building still in use. Miss Schlapstein again took charge in 1920 when she retired and was succeeded by Miss Katie O'Day with Miss Doris Merrill as assistant. In 1924, Miss Ruth Eastwood, later Miss Percy Smith, came to Peacedale as a teacher at the kindergarten and remained for a number of years, assisted by Miss James Shaw, and later by Miss Shirley Peckley, now Miss Albert Saunders. After the death of Miss Caroline in March 1945, the building was turned over to the South Kingstown School Department, generously endowed for the future and always to be used for kindergarten purposes.